Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mrs. Lehman again. So today I'm going to review some part 2 questions for the New York State test. And again, these were questions on the 2017 state test for grade 6 in New York State. This first question was quite challenging. It says a company sells cereal in 2 different size boxes. The smaller box has dimensions shown below. So again, I can't emphasize this enough. You really should read each question carefully and underline keywords. So this is indeed the smaller cereal box. So our job, first of all, is read the question. I've already read it. The height of the smaller box is 80% of the larger box. And it says the other 2 dimensions, so the length and the width, are the same for both boxes. We need to find out what's the difference in the volumes of the 2 boxes. So essentially, I need to use what I've been given here to find out what the volume of the bigger box is. So we know that the height is what's different, all right? So we know this has a height of 12 inches, and that's 80% of the larger box. That means the larger box is 20% bigger. We already know that 7 3/4 and the 2 inches are the same. It's just this other cereal box that's bigger is just taller, okay? So then we're gonna calculate the volume of each and find the difference between the 2 volumes. So step 1 of getting this correct is to find what the height is of the new cereal box. So what we're gonna do is figure out what that dimension is. So we're going to use a proportion to solve this, okay? We know percents are out of 100, and I'm pretty sure you remember this saying, is over of equals percent out of 100. So we're going to use that saying to help us here. So we know the height of the smaller box is 80% of the larger box. So this is 12 out of our unknown amount, okay? So again, we're using this kind of recipe, is over of equals percent over 100, so the 100 is a given, and we know the smaller box is close to the same size, but it's 80% of the larger. So we're filling in this top row. Again, this is the smaller box, and then this down here is for our larger box, okay, if you're wondering how I came up with that setup. And then this side on the right here that I'll box in red is our percentages, and what I'm going to box in green is the height dimension, okay? I'm going to erase all that so it doesn't look so messy. So we're finding percent of a number, essentially. Actually, no, we're finding what is our missing piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a connection here to get from this side to this other side. So one thing we do in 6th grade is we simplify the ratio and see can we scale it up or down. So in this case, you know, we could divide the top and bottom by 10, you'd get 8 over 10. Right? 8 still does not go into 12. So let's cut that in half. Let's turn it into 4 to 5. Now when you're looking here across from 4 to 12, we know 4 times 3 gives us 12, and 5 times 3 gives us 15. Right? So we have just figured out that the taller box, let me see if I can draw this nicely. The taller box has the same width of 7 3/4, or length, it doesn't really matter. A width of 2 inches here, but instead of the height being 12, the height is actually 15 inches, all right? Now this would be a question where you could use a calculator, but again, kind of the rule of calculators is that you show all the work if you want to get the points. So I'm going to scroll down just for some space here. Let's see. Okay, so I know the volume formula. First of all, I'm doing this for the smaller box. All right, the volume formula is length times width times height. So you're just going to simply plug in 7 3/4 times 2 times a height of 12. We gotta do that for the smaller box. We need to do the same thing for the larger box. And we know that 7 3/4 is the same, 2 is the same, and instead of 12, we know that's 15 inches now. Okay, so we just need to do some calculations here. Now, if you were at school right now, I would show you how to use a calculator to do this, because if you have it, why not use it? But we can go old school with this. So first thing I would do is I would make this 24, and I would say 7 3/4 times 24. Okay, and then I would change the 7 3/4 into an improper fraction. So 7 times 4 is 28. 28 plus 3 is 31. Use the same denominator, times 24. Now, one thing you can do is simplify before you multiply. So you're going to look diagonally. In this case, 4 and 24 share a common factor of 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So 31 times 6 is the math that we're doing here. And you're going to get 100. The volume equals 186 inches cubed, because we multiplied inches times inches times inches. All right, so that was for the smaller box. Now we got to do the larger box. So again, same kind of thing. I know 2 times 15 is 30, and I need to multiply 7 3/4 times 30. All right, so again, we converted that before. It's 31/4 times 30. And again, I'm going to look diagonally. So I'm going to look at numerators and denominators and see, are there any common factors? If yes, I'm going to divide that out to simplify this before I multiply. So 30 and 4 are both even, so I can divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So now I have to multiply 15 times 31. So 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 3 is 15, put a 0 placeholder, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. Add those, 5, 6, 4. So the volume of the bigger one is 465 inches cubed. All right, so let's see here, 15, I'm just double checking my work real quick. Yeah, that makes a big difference, doesn't it? Crazy. Oh, I'm missing a step. I'm like, that seems too big. Okay, so this is still divided by 2, right? So we need to divide that by 2. I'm like, that seems wrong. And it was wrong, right? Because I was forgetting to divide by 2. So 4 goes in, I'm sorry, 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then it goes into 6 3 times. Right, and then it goes into 5 2 times. That's only going to give you 4, though. You're going to get 1 left over, add a decimal point and a 0, and that's going to go in 200. The volume of this one is 232.5 inches cubed. All right, and again, don't forget to divide by 2 on that one. The other one had a 1 as a denominator, so we didn't need to, but in this case, that didn't. We couldn't simplify that down to 1, so we need to do the division by 2. That's really difficult to see that. That's an IN at the end. Okay, so we found the volume of each. We showed all of our work. You have the formulas. You first of all found the height, which was a key part of getting this correct. And now your last step is to take this number and subtract, because the question asked, if you look here, it says, what is the difference in the volumes of the 2 boxes? So we want to know how much more that bigger box holds. So when you are subtracting decimals, you need to line up your decimal points. All right, so 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring down your decimal point. 2 minus 6 doesn't work. You gotta go next door, borrow. 12 minus 6 is 6. Keep borrowing. 12 minus 8 is 4. And the difference is 46.5 or 46.5 cubic inches difference. All right, so that one was a challenging question, and involved quite a few steps. So don't be afraid to take your time. Just to quickly review, we've got a smaller box that has these dimensions. You first have to find out what the bigger box has for a height, okay, and you do that with understanding percents and how to find that something is 80% of a bigger number, and you would set that up, figure out that that's 15 inches tall. You would then plug into the formula, volume, that's what we did next. All right, there's some fraction work involved there. Again, if you had your calculator, that would save a little time, but really that wasn't terribly difficult. And don't forget, obviously, to divide by 2 here on the second larger box, because we simplified, but we still had that over 2. So yeah, you can definitely then subtract and find your answer without much of an issue. I was going to do 2 problems today, but that took a little bit of time. So I'm going to call it quits after I give you this challenge question. Okay, your challenge question is, what is 5x times 7? What is 5x times 7? All right, don't forget to check out the other videos that I have. Today I uploaded a module 1 review that we did in class.